The freed, once 155 strong, were now standing among blood-spattered walls and floors, standing among the corpses of their friends, and now standing among barely 50 still alive. Some of them chose to step through the portal immediately, and nobody stopped them. They had every right to. Popa and Hayden, alongside Simon, Chubbith, Bordvo, and Shug, chose to return to the village before leaving. They did this in order to gather their belongings and say goodbye to their new friends and companions, in more than one way. As the freed, now a third of their original size, marched back to the village carrying as much of their dead as they could, the sun began to set. They marched victorious, however, the cost of said victory hung over them like a storm cloud. When they returned, the dwarves began to pile the dead in the town square, preparing for a funeral the next day, and Popa and Hayden headed into a much-needed long rest. As the sun rose on a new day, the party made preparations to leave Haven, but not before attending the services. They made their way down to the town square, accompanied by Simon, where everyone had gathered. Every dwarf, human, and wood elf that inhabited the island seemed to be here. The crowd was enormous, perfect for a Dwarvish goodbye, as Bordvo informed them, scaring them from just appearing behind them. With everyone gathered, drinks were passed around, cigars were lit, and speeches were made. The stories of the brave heroes that gave their lives for the freedom of Haven were told gloriously, and after the speeches were finished, the dwarves began to sing a low chant. It echoed and eventually roared so loud the entire island would be able to hear it, as Elder Merlin lit the pile on fire, sending them off. After the services, Popa and Hayden said their goodbyes to the likes of Shug, Bordvo, and Lucille, knowing they might never see them again, unsure of who exactly would stay in Haven and who would leave. They eventually came to Simon, who informed them that Chubbith had left overnight, without saying a word. He wasn't exactly sure why, but he said, "Chubbith went on to better things. I know whatever he's doing, it's probably pretty important." Simon also told them he'd be staying in Haven, so if they ever needed to find him in the future or if they just wanted to kick it, they'd know where to find him. It wasn't a goodbye, it was a "see you later." And so, Popa and Hayden headed back to the Blue Castle, where Hayden would pour a drink out for the fallen dwarves at the gate, and they proceeded inside to the throne room, where the portal still occupied the center of the floor. After taking one last moment and a nod, they stepped through the familiar, mirror-like substance. And that's where we'll pick up next time on Dungeons & Dragons, The Chronicle of 406.